Now next is you need to understand like first come and first served FCFS scheduling. So please try to understand. If you look at this, this is going to be FIFO when you are dealing with job scheduling. Okay. Now when you are dealing with the CPU scheduler, it is being referred as FCFS. That is first come first served. Now this pictorial representation is called as Gantt chart. Now what this represent? This Gantt chart represents the amount of work done and the amount of left work. Right? Just to represent this, we are going to use a Gantt chart. Okay, now just try to understand this. The key attribute which we have seen, important attribute which we have seen when we are working with job scheduling, which we have seen that every process has say some arrival time. Every process has some arrival time. Every process has say some burst time, or you can say run time, right? Then with every process you need to compute the wait time, right? So with every process you need to compute the turnaround time. Okay, so this is important. So whenever you are going with the short-term scheduler, FCFS scheduler, the key and important term which you need to compute is wait time, right? So this is important, right? So this computation of wait time is an important factor. Okay, important as well as this is crucial factor. And this important and crucial factor determines the performance of the system. This determines the performance. Determines the performance. So our objective when you are going with the short-term scheduler, the key and important objective, key objective is you need to schedule a process in such a way that the process should have minimal wait time. You have minimal wait time. Okay, so let us try to understand this. So you have got a process P1, P2, P3. These three processes you have, right? The burst time means the CPU burst, CPU cycles which you require, CPU cycles which you require for the execution. So it requires 24 CPU cycles for execution. It requires 3 CPU cycles. P3 requires 3 CPU cycles. Okay, so they must be arrived, like since this is actually more of a queue, this is the actual mode of queue, so they are being arrived in the same way. So this is P1 arrived first, P2 arrived second, P3 arrived at third. So P1, P2, P3. So like see, when they are arrived, they are being executed. So ultimately, so the time they are arrived here at the T time, they are arrived, and at the T time P1 is arrived, and at the same moment of time, P is being served. So immediately for P is the waiting time is 0. Okay, waiting time is 0. For P1 it is waiting time is 0, but P1 will take a whole 24 cycles for execution. So see here P1, for P1 the time P1 is arrived, P1 is being served and will execute how much, up to 24 cycles here. Though P2 and P3 requires less number of cycles, they are being executed once P1 finished its work. So for P1 the waiting time is 0. For P1 the waiting time is 0. Okay, but for P2, if you look at P2, say P2 has arrived, say for example T plus 1 time. T plus 1, right? So the arrival time of P2 is say T plus 1, right? But but it is being served, the request of P2 is being served the time P1 finishes. So P1 finished at 24, so P2 starts working on this. So for P2 in this case, you can see in this case P2 the waiting time will be, if it is T plus 1, so the waiting time you can say the finish time of P1 minus the arrival time of P2. Now here arrival time we don't have, so here we can directly say that the time response time will be like the time it is being available. So it is like for P2 the waiting time will be 24, because at 24 it starts working, right? It takes an execution. Okay, then it works for three cycles, then 24 plus 3 is 27, and at 27 P3 works. Okay, so the waiting time will be 0, 24 and 27, right? Because at the 27 it starts processing and will finish it by 30. So you can directly compute the average waiting time as 0, 24, 27, and this is going to be, say for example, 1, and this is 51. So 51 divided by 3 is going to be 70. So this is the average wait time. Okay, so the average wait time is nothing but how you can calculate is the sum of waiting time of ith process. For every process, whatever the waiting time is there, so you are going to compute. So it is I is equals to 1 to n. So this is going to be multiplied by 1 by n. Okay, so or in short, you can modify it as is the sum of wait time of I is equals to 1 to n. This is going to be divided by n. N is nothing but number of process in the queue. Process in ready queue. Okay, so this is how you can compute the first serve scheduling. So this is the average waiting time which you are going to calculate, and you are representing it onto a Gantt chart. Okay, so let us revise this, have a relook on this. You have got three processes, P1, P2, P3. Each of the process has a burst time. So P1 has 24 burst time, P2 has 3 burst time, P3 has 3 burst time. Okay, so here we are not mentioning any arrival time as such here, and any start time which we have went into job scheduling. So how they are arrived? They are arrived in a queue as P1, P2, P3. So the way they are arrived into ready queue. So the state should be taken that processor is available. So the time P1 is arrived, it is immediately taken back for the execution. So for P1 the wait time is 0. So for P1, see, look at here, for P1 wait time is 0. For P2 the wait time is the way the time P1 kept on hold till P2 kept on hold till P1 finishes. So P1 finishes at 24. So for P2 request is being served at 24. So ultimately the waiting time for P2 will be 24. So once P2 finished, say P1 finished, then P2 finished at 27, and P3 is being executed. So for P3 the wait time is 27. So you have got, so the average wait time will be 0 plus 24 plus 27 divided by 3. Why 3? Because there are 3 processes in a ready queue. So this is how the first come first serve scheduling is going to happen. Now if you look at this, that suppose that we are having this into a different order. Say for example, out of these three, say for example, out of these 3 processes, say P1, P2, P3. So P1 requires 24 cycle. P2 requires 3 cycles burst time, and P3 also requires 3 burst time. So but their way of arriving is different. So how they have arrived? They have arrived in this particular way into a ready queue. Say here for example, P2, P3, and P1. So immediately we can say, since we don't have processor is not having any work, so processor will take P2 immediately. So for P2 the wait time is 0. For P2 the wait time is 0. For P3 wait time is 3. Okay. So for P3 wait time is 3. Just look at here, because once P2 finish its work, it is being shifted to P3, and then it is being shifted to P1. So it is say 0, 3, and 6. So you just like say 6, 0, and 3. So this is going to be 9 by 3 is equals to 3. So this is the average waiting time required for a process. So this is average wait time required for a process. So in previous case, you can say in previous case, that is when the order was P1, P2, and P3. When order was P1, P2, P3, the average wait time is 17. But when the order is P2, P3, and P1, in this case, it is 3. So 3 is much better wait time than 17. Okay, so this is much better than the previous case. So this called as Conway effect. Conway effect means where short process behind the long processes are available, and where the CPU bound one CPU bound and many IO bound processes are being there. So like on that particular cost of CPU bounds, you can select the process so that maximum CPU is being executed. So but in case like if it has certain IOs, the waiting time is going to be more because IO request has to be served. So this is really very important. So